Alrighty, y'all's favorite trainer with a belt buckle, giving you a sneak peek into why our certification is the best in the world. You get access to fitness professionals and our team of therapists, professors, registered dietitians. Today, we have a physical therapist who's helping out with our anatomy class every Friday. We have classes daily that are live, they're recorded. People all over the world getting certified. If you want to become a qualified certified personal trainer, you got to show up. Let us know what you think.
But if you're looking at somebody who has, and I've never personally, I'll just put the full disclosure, I've never worked with anybody with Rickets before, but given that he's like super bow-legged, obviously there's going to be some knee issues there. There's going to be some ankle issues there. So your goal, as long as there's not any restrictions as far as what his physician says or whoever he's undergoing treatment with, and I'm assuming he's pretty far along, like it's just been a
Yeah,
lifelong thing.
yeah. He used to have bow legs, but he got surgery. He
Okay,
said a couple years back, so they're not bowed now. There's a little bit, but not too much. He
gotcha.
can't really back. I know he can't really back squat like with the barbell. So I was like, goblet is better, and his stability is not good with his hips and everything like that. So lunges, are out. So step ups there. But I was seeing your take on it.
Yeah, I think that it sounds like you're already kind of on the right track with, how you're adapting to it. Because with somebody with, who has that dysfunction, even if he's had the bow legs corrected, it's going to be something that, he's had a lifelong of functioning with that type of, restriction. So it's going to result in tightness in his hips. And like you're saying, if he tries to do a more narrow stance, traditional squat, it's probably going to not go well for him because he can't get full depth. Whereas if you take him into that wide stance, goblet squat a little more, he might be able to get a little more depth. Things that I would pay attention to is I would probably look at how his ankle mobility looks, because if he's been walking around a long time with bow legs and then hasn't corrected, I would guess that his ankle mobility is probably not the best. So I would check that out for sure. And I'm trying to think, does he particularly have any pain anywhere, or is it more just kind of general strength and conditioning at this point?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he says when he does leg press and stuff, his hips hurt a little bit, but that's because he's
Gotcha.
going to flexion. So it's more up, whereas rectus femoris is. So I'm guessing, just pain from, doing a hip flexion for that.
For
Next
sure. And with that, it's going to throw him off as far as what hip flexion is comfortable for him, because just like we're talking about with the goblet squat, I'm sure going out into that wider stance, he probably gets a little more range. So I think things that I would probably work on him mobility wise for a warm up. And of course, this is all without doing an evaluation on him and just what I'm assuming. I would kind of focus in on maybe some internal rotation mobility. And even just starting with something simple. I mean, obviously, he's not going to do a 90-90 right off the bat, most likely. But starting with something, just getting him to kind of rock his legs back and forth, bent knee, see how much mobility he can get out of that. Maybe do some gentle manual stretching of internal rotation, because I bet you that would help him a lot with his at least comfort and getting down into that flex position.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I hope that helps. Sorry if I'm not super well versed on Rickets.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, everything you said. I already had some stuff programmed for him from seeing him, but
Good.
I just wanted some reassurance and everything. For more guidance as well on different things.
Yeah.
Ankle mobility is something I didn't look at. I'm not a physical therapist, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All that stuff. So, but yeah, I'll try this. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one thing I want to say to y'all. And I'm sure y'all all follow Travis on Instagram and you see how critical he is of not good personal trainers. I'm going to be the same way about physical therapists. And so don't question yourselves as far as y'all's knowledge, because I'm here to tell you, y'all can probably make just as big of a difference in these people's lives as somebody with all the credentials can. It's about, how much do you care about your client? How much do you put into it? Because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of lazy physical therapists out there who just have everybody do the same thing. So if you can bridge that gap and be the one who helps him kind of, reduce some of that pain, improve his function so that he doesn't have to go through somebody like that, you're going to make a world of difference in his life, just from a standpoint of even finances and time. So y'all keep it up and y'all are doing awesome. And Travis has got y'all on the right track learning the anatomy. So I can't say enough nice things about that. 2 months. Okay. So at this point, and depending on which type of hip replacement it is, if it's a posterior approach, which almost nobody does that anymore. And if he went to somebody with a posterior approach, that's
No, it wasn't.
shame on him. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
it
So
was an anterior.
anterior approach, there's not really a lot of restrictions, and especially at 2 months out. Obviously, I wouldn't have him start doing box jumps right off the bat or anything like that. But he's probably going to have some limitations in hip extension, and then probably some limitations in hip flexor strength, just because given that it was an anterior approach, the restrictions right after surgery are limit external rotation and limit extension, because given where the anterior capsule was cut, it just puts him at a little increased risk for dislocation there. Highly unlikely, but this is where it's time for you to show your magic and come in and kind of slowly start working on building up that hip extension, because they probably avoided that a lot during rehab. So obviously don't do anything like super high velocity or anything like that, but you can start on some gentle hip extension stretching, start with some hip extension strengthening, because that's probably where you're going to see the biggest deficit with him. As far as restrictions go, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just kind of keep track of it, see how he's doing. Yeah, that would be the big thing I would focus in on right off the bat.